Hello and welcome to the Doofcast, a film and TV podcast from Doof Media. My name is Scott Daly, and joining me, as always, he cannot begin his day with confrontation. It's Matt Freeman. How's your day going, Matt? Any confrontation?
Well, you know, it was going well. I was having my tea this morning, and then there was an interruption, and you know,
I wish I had toast that I could loudly butter into the microphone right now.
Yeah, butter and crunch and make the glasses tinkle. And you leave, you know, Scott, you leave, but the interruption, it stays right here with me.
Oh my gosh. This week on the show, we are continuing our series Deconstructing the Films of Paul Thomas Anderson. This week, PTA's 8th film, 2017's Phantom Thread. And those references that we just made are all about this weird, wonderful little movie we're about to talk about here.
That's right.
Then when we wrap up our discussion about Phantom Thread, I did want to talk to you, Matt, about the latest episode of the smash hit series. That's a joke. I don't know if anyone's actually watching the show. I have no idea what the numbers are looking like for Alien Earth, but we're certainly enjoying it, and we're going to talk about episode 4.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be well received as far as I can tell, but who knows?
I think it's well critically received. I legitimately do not know if people outside of TV obsessive circles are even aware this is a thing and are watching it at all. I don't know.
I don't know either.
All right. You want to get into it?
Let's do it.
Let's talk all about Paul Thomas Anderson's Phantom Thread.
Yes.
I feel as if I've been looking for you for a very long time. You look beautiful. Very beautiful. I have things I want to do. Things I simply cannot do without you.
Reynolds has made my dreams come true, and I have given him what he desires most in return. Every piece of me.
Matt, what is this movie all about?
Well, set in 1950s London, Reynolds Woodcock, a renowned dressmaker whose fastidious life is disrupted by a young, strong-willed woman, Alma, who becomes his muse and lover.
This movie was, of course, written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, although PTA does say that Daniel Day-Lewis was very important in the construction of the script, and if the Guild had allowed him to, he would have given Daniel Day-Lewis a writing credit. So kind of half written by Daniel Day-Lewis, we can say.
It's kind of a funny idea to say that a person would have gotten a credit, but I didn't. It's like, well, then you just kind of did by saying that.
Yeah, but you can't the Guild. There's rules, Matt. There's rules about these sort of things, and we have to abide by the rules.
Well, I don't have to abide by any rules. I'm going to say he was one of the writers.
Written by Paul Thomas Anderson and Daniel Day-Lewis, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. It stars Daniel Day-Lewis, Vicky. Okay, I think it's Creeps. But I don't speak Luxembourgian.
It looks like Creeps.
Yeah. And Leslie Manville. Matt, I gotta hear what you thought about this one. Phantom Thread. What did you think?
So I'd never seen this one. It was delightful. It's a big mood, is what it is. It's funny.
It's so funny. This is my biggest thing about PTA that I don't think I ever realized. Like, in my head, I had like the funny PTA movies and then the other PTA movies. And my realization now is no, they're just like all the funny PTA movies.
Yeah, it might change my perspective rewatching his movies after having imbibed all of them. And in fact, I'll even go so far as to say, I even rewatching this movie might find it funnier on a second viewing after having taken it in its totality, because like you're watching the movie the first time and there's kind of a tone of like dreariness and dread that permeates things. And part of it is the cinematography. Part of it is just the nature of the story. And it's just kind of like this dismal world that everyone lives in.
And the score is doing a lot of work there too, I think. The
score is definitely unsettling. I agree. And I love the score, by the way. But then like the way it ends and kind of the tone and the subject matter of the ending, you kind of realize that this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And maybe like, so like I said, I might rewatch this movie and find it funnier. And I go so far as to say, like, maybe when this project is over, I'll rewatch something like There Will Be Blood and realize, like, I think when he's chasing him around the bowling alley, I think that's a comedy scene. Honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically slapstick. That's not how I interpreted it the first couple of times, but now that I understand this filmmaker better, I think that was the intention.
Yeah, I think PTA has a very interesting sense of humor, and I think the things he finds funny is constructing a scene that on the surface appears very dramatic and serious, but then underneath it is like a level of slapstick absurdism that you just can't quite believe. And I think he finds it really funny to like set people up that way. Like you can just kind of imagine the guy just kind of like giggling to himself while people were watching this movie,
Yeah,
and going, wait, what? Like the turn of the movie when she's suddenly looking in the poison mushroom guidebook, and you're like, wait, what's
Yeah.
about to go down? And then even from there, it goes a direction you don't quite anticipate. I think he loves this kind of absurdism, and it's absolutely stuffed in this movie. Yeah.
It's an interesting writing the line kind of absurdism where there's nothing that happens in it that's like unrealistic in a strict sense. It's just very bombastic, you know.
Yeah,
The characters are very big. The idea of, I mean, yeah, are we going full spoilers? We usually do, right?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah, like the idea that this guy, you know, just the sheer idea that this guy is so fastidious and set in his ways, and then realizes that the only way that he can really be happy and be in love is if he allows himself to be poisoned at intervals. I want to get this out of the way just because it was bugging me. Do you think that he's just dead at the end of this movie?
He could be.
So
I mean, like, so when she poisons him the first time and he gets very, very, very sick,
Right.
she's using a very minute amount of crushed up mushrooms.
Yes. And
at
he
the end of the
drinks-
movie, she makes a whole fucking omelet stuffed with them.
Yeah. So, and he just drinks the tea from the first one. And then the second one, he just eats, you know, a big old bite of the same toxic mushroom.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if this is a criticism of the movie. It was definitely something that was on my mind because I was just like, okay, like if we're doing tactical realism on this movie, I would be seriously concerned that he's dead now. But I just don't feel like that was at all the tone of the end of the movie. And
I don't think he's dead. That was never my interpretation. No.
I kind of don't think he is either, but like it was the kind of detail that bugged me. So now that that's out of the way, we can just kind of move on. But
I mean, I kind of love the kind of framing device of this movie. The thing that we start with is the Alma character is sitting on a couch talking to someone. We don't know who it is at first about Woodcock. And like the fact that the slow reveal of the movie is this is a conversation she's having with the young doctor about why she's poisoning him and how their relationship's going to work now actually is like one of those like, oh, like you don't just like, I think Paul Thomas Anderson does this really, really clever thing where he kind of hides that from you. And that's like played as a reveal at the end of the movie of when that conversation is actually occurring.
Right.
Because he just kind of drops you in it and offers no explanation. It was like, why is she talking to someone about her relationship? Like, what is this narrative device? I don't understand quite where we are or what we're doing with it. And then that reveal, and it's her like in the chair, like lit by the fire. It's actually like a very, you talked about these characters are big and dramatic, and so is the cinematography. It's very big, it's very loud and dramatic, which makes her seem kind of off-putting and scary at times. And I love how that is kind of doled out and revealed to us.
Yeah, I think my recollection, I've only seen it the one time, but my recollection is that we do that framing setting 3 times. Once at the beginning, right. Once in the middle, I think around the time that she has done the first poisoning. Yeah. And I think that's when we reveal that it's the doctor.
Yeah.
And I think your assumption or my assumption in that moment was like, she's caught. and she's getting in trouble now. Like that's what's happening, is she's getting in trouble for poisoning him. She's been revealed, and then we move past that. It's like, oh no, she wasn't caught. She got off scot-free. And then and then it ends, and we realize, oh, that's when that scene is actually happening. And not only did she get off scot-free, but like she won effectively.
Yeah, I mean it's the deciding point that makes him want to marry her. Kind of redefines how their relationship is going to work.
Yeah.
So not only does she get away with it, but yeah, it's beyond that. She takes control. I mean, I think it's, once again, we have Paul Thomas Anderson characters that he's created that are just like endlessly fascinating to me. It's like I've never quite seen people this immediately complicated, where I'm just like, man, what makes these people tick?
Yeah.
And we have Daniel Day-Lewis's character here who has serious mommy issues, but he like insists on being in control of everything. And as you said, he's fastidious. He's very needy and requires his things just so. But that's all that's fake. It's all a front he puts up. What he really wants is he wants a mommy. He wants a mommy to tell him to stop it and to control him, actually. And just like the realization of that, I think, is one of the most fascinating things in the movie to me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great character study of this guy. I mean, I don't know, the movie doesn't say this outright, but you kind of believe that going forward, they're going to go back to the house where he does where he makes his dresses. He's going to go back to being an asshole. He's going to, maybe they'll have a period of time where he's kind to her, and then he's going to start getting annoyed by the noises she makes and getting annoyed by her little overtures of kindness that he perceives as distractions and interruptions. And she's going to go, after maybe a few weeks of this, maybe a couple months, she's going to go, darling, I think we need to go on a trip to the country. and he's going to go, yes, you're right, dear. And they'll reset, and then they'll have a very happy and long marriage until maybe he eats too much mushrooms one day and dies.
One day she overdoes it. Yeah.
Or the accumulation of chronic neurotoxins in his body kills him at a young age. One or the other.
Well, I mean, it is really interesting because I think so. I think like, and the end of the movie has her talking to the doctor about stepping forward in the future and seeing like happiness and children and a normal life. And it's like, I don't think that's how that's going to work at all. Actually, I don't think he's going to have a kid with you. And even if he does, he's not going to like take walks through the park with you while you're pushing your child with a stroller. That's not this guy. So yeah, I think we talked about him as a fascinating character. I think Alma is almost, if not, maybe not more so fascinating. And I think Vicky Creeps is it takes a performer of a certain skill to step into a movie with Daniel Day-Lewis and like go toe to toe with him. And I think she does that. And it's like kind of astonishing how well she does with one of the greatest actors living. And like, we learn a lot about his background, and we learn a lot about how he works. Right. We learn very little about her, and she's kind of the mystery of the movie. Is like, what does Alma want? Right. Why is she in this? Like, is it just for the financial security? No, I don't think so. I think that's part of it. Certainly. I think she's enamored by this man. I think, we meet her as a very insecure, kind of klutzy woman, who doesn't think she's very attractive. Like one of her first speeches is her pointing out all her flaws. And this guy just sees her as beautiful in his way. And she's kind of enchanted by that. And it's just like, that's just not him consistently. Like that version of him pokes out every so often after he's horribly poisoned.
Yeah. Right. We see them falling in love. He clearly sees something in her that he really, really likes. And I don't think it's just, part of it is like, oh, she has the perfect form to be like a model for dresses.
Yeah.
Which is maybe why he notices her. But, he really seems enamored with her. Although he also doesn't really know her that well, because their whole falling in love is just him monologuing at her
Yeah.
and her making little reaction sounds, which like you said, we don't find out much information about her and where she's coming from. There's a fascinating Mona Lisa ambiguity to the performance where I really think this might be a movie designed to be watched twice, because the idea that this woman is going to do something so forceful as poison him so that he becomes beholden to her is not really on your radar. Like she doesn't. Yeah, it's shocking. She doesn't play it as like, oh, there's some simmering madness under the surface here. Or maybe she does a little bit, and it's just you're sort of not primed to see it because you see him as being such a domineering force.
Yeah.
That her little inklings of rebellion, it's just like, oh, Alma, you're not going to stand up to him. He's just going to brush you aside. It doesn't help that like the movie starts basically with him having some other woman in the seat that she later occupies, and him just not caring about her at all and brushing her off. And you're just like, you kind of assume actually, oh, that's what this movie's going to be. This is the next woman in his rotating cast of women who he falls in love with and annoy him, and then he brooms them, and then he replaces them. But it's like, nope, this one's different. This one has some ingredient that he needs, even though he doesn't know it.
Yeah, I mean, and I think she pushes back, and you're absolutely right. Like I think it is structurally brilliant to start this at the end of the last relationship, because we establish that as this is how this goes. He becomes enamored and obsessed with these women, then he quickly grows bored of them, and then eventually his sister is the one that asks them to leave and get out. He never does it himself, and that's the cycle. That's how it works. And then we meet this woman, and he is completely enamored with her. Like their meet cute is actually kind of adorable. That you can just tell he's just totally enthralled by her at first, and you're not even necessarily sure why. Like I think it is again a genius stroke of the movie that like we see her as this kind of klutzy, insecure, shy woman at first, and I think that is part of the reason why, like you said, it's so surprising when she goes from that to I am going to poison this man to get what I want out of him. Because she kind of finds her own strength and her own confidence over the course of the thing. Which is like, in some ways, it's like, oh, look, like they bring out the best in each other.
Yeah.
in this fucked up abusive relationship.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly love movies that do this thing where it's like, you've got two people who are just totally awful and messed up, and then they find each other and they're awful and messed up in ways that complement each other, where it's like, the thing, there's an argument to be made that the thing about her that comes out that wasn't apparent before is that she's just a very jealous person.
Yeah.
Which is like a character flaw, but that's what motivates her to sort of take ownership of him in the way that she does.
Yeah.
And to do these crazy things. I love her just behavior after she has poisoned him and he's becoming sick the first time. And his sister is acting in, sort of like the reasonable, normal way you would respond to the situation of like, okay, he's sick, we should get the doctor. And Alma is just like, get out of here. I'm taking care of him.
Yeah, I got this.
Yeah. It's like she's so happy. She's so happy that he is at her mercy. And then you kind of gradually realize like he's so happy too.
Yeah.
He gets to see his mom again. And then he gets to get taken care of like a baby. Gosh, what an interesting movie.
Yeah. I mean, I do love the scene where he sees his mom standing there in the corner in her wedding dress, and then like she's not saying anything to him, and the illusion is broken by the entrance of Alma, as if like in some messed up way. That's mommy. I mean, like it's so like his early conversation with her, right? Like when she's at dinner with him, like the first thing he wants to know is does she look like her mother, which is such a weird thing to ask someone when you don't know what their mother look like. I think it's interesting if like the mother very personally and is like, oh, you look like your mother. But like he doesn't know her mother. He's never seen her mother. So why does it matter to him if she looks like her mother. But of course, that's because this guy's got some serious mommy issues. And that's reflected in how he wants to see her, and how he does see her. And then we kind of transition from him seeing the phantom of his mother to Alma walking in and assuming the motherly role. Yeah, like every time he shows her affection, like even before the poisoning moment, like when she kind of stood up and said, no, like this woman is embarrassing us by wearing your clothing. Like I insist that you go to her and demand your clothing back. That is when like the first time we see him kiss her, I think.
Yeah.
And it's because she's protecting, providing, like doing like what that's what he wants. Like it's almost as if he's like constantly testing people and pushing them to see if they push back and see if they're going to punish me. They're going to put me in timeout. And all the women before have never had it. And like we realize like the one interesting factor in this is Cyril, his sister, who we see as like his constant companion. She runs the business. And then there's that one moment where he kind of pushes her and she snaps back, right? Yeah. She's like, don't try to pick a fight with me. I will run right through you. Like,
yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's how she has managed to like stick around here. She knows what he wants too. It's a different side of it. It's not the sexual side of it, but like she knows ultimately like what kind of person he is,
yeah,
and how to manage him.
Yeah, right. How he needs to be spoken to get him in line, basically.
Yeah.
I love her. She's one of my favorite parts of the movie, by the way. Like she's very much a kind of side supporting character, but I love her so much.
I love the fact that I don't think he ever like calls her his sister, right? Like we learn that she's his sister because when he first meets Alma, he talks about his sister Cyril, but he never says, my sister. He always calls her my old so-and-so, which is such a fascinating phrase. I was like, no, that's your family right there. But he never calls her that.
I think it took me embarrassingly long into the movie to figure out that she was his sister, actually. Like, I don't think I caught it when I was supposed to, honestly.
I think that's just because it's like a blink and you miss it thing. It's like he never actually, and there's never a moment where Alma says, you're the sister. It's just like he says the name of his sister and we know that that's that character's name.
Right.
So I don't blame you for that at all.
Yeah. It might have literally been when the doctor said like, good evening, Miss Woodcock. And I was like, oh, does he think that Alma is his wife? And then I was like, wait a second, hold on.
I think he did. But he's calling them both Miss Woodcock. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it may have been like a double Uno reverse mistake, but I think that's what it ultimately got me thinking along the right lines. She's great. The whole like household tone of dreariness and awful, suffocating, oppressiveness was kind of great in a horrible way, you know.
It's really fascinating because this is a movie that's kind of about beauty, right? This is it's about fashion. It's about dresses. This is a man who makes beautiful, beautiful dresses. And yet the way the movie is shot, even like you put the dress in the middle of a frame where the dress itself is beautiful. And then around it, you have these very like rigid women in smocks, like standing uncomfortably. And it creates this, you're absolutely right, this very oppressive air to it. That it's like this is not a movie about the beauty of fashion and design. The fashion and design like that is what absorbs Woodcock, but it does it in this very specific kind of way where like it's almost as like he feels it as this compulsion, not like I want to create beauty in the world. It's just I need to do this. I need to do it constantly.
It's a very cold passion.
Yeah.
I feel like the color palette and the lighting is often done in a way that's cold and distancing. And I think I read somewhere that PTA used a lot of like smoke, like literal smoke to sort of scatter the light and make it all seem
that's great,
hazy and fuzzy, and which I didn't go as deep of a dive as maybe I should have to clearly make this point, but normally to make stuff look hazy in camera, they don't normally use smoke, but he actually did in at least some instances here.
I mean, you can't. It's just difficult. It's more difficult to work with, right? Because it's unpredictable.
Yeah.
You can't get the light to pass exactly as you want it to.
Yeah, and I'm not saying he used it like ubiquitously, but I
Sure.
feel like that was just the vibe he's going for is this cold, distant feeling, and I think it worked, really well. That's why like the first thing I said when we started this conversation, despite the fact that it has these amazing characters, was like it's a big mood, because to me that's like the level on which it worked on me most memorably, perhaps. It's just like it downloads a very specific feeling into your brain and your body, and you walk away from it feeling that.
Yeah, I mean, an interesting fact about this is this movie does not have a listed director of photography. There was no cinematographer that worked on this movie. Now, if you were to tell Paul Thomas Anderson, "Oh, so you were the DP?" he would say, "No, I did not do that. I just did not have a DP. I worked closely with my camera people and my lighting people, taking their advice. We just did not have a traditional cinematographer on the movie." So a lot of this, even if he doesn't want to take credit for it, a lot of it is him. And I think that's really, really fascinating because it is this very specific mood and feel to it. It's always, I mean, it's set in England, so it's always kind of cold. And everyone has, like, I think both Daniel Day-Lewis and Leslie Manville kind of just have these constant looks of like, it's not miserable, but it's not like happy either. It's just like tight and control. Like even like there's a scene that I remember where it's like we see the first dress, we see him deliver a dress to a customer, and then we cut to her. I think she's like some aristocracies or whatever. We cut to her showing off the dress at some function, and they're at the function, and we see Cyril like at the top. She's like on the banister looking down, and she just has this look on her, this tight, like miserable look on her face.
Yeah.
And it's like that. I feel like that is just, this movie is just like, it's just cold. Everyone is just so like afraid to emote in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
They just bury their emotions so down deep.
Definitely. Everyone is super unhappy and repressed and incapable of saying any feelings. No one ever expresses a feeling of triumph, like the idea that like the princess is going to wear their dress to some fun, this princess, he's dressed this princess her whole life. Like there's not really any sort of warmth in the pride that they feel about that. It's a sort of jealous pride.
Yeah.
It's all very like, I'm imagining like an anaconda winding around itself. Like it's not
to use the movie's own words, like he buries and hides the things that he feels in the linings of the clothes. It is not representative of the clothes themselves. It's buried within.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because like one of the few times that comes up in the movie is literally when she is having to resew the princess's dress, and she finds some sentiment stitched into the princess's dress, something that he would never say to her because he's so formal and precise.
Yep. It's lovely. I love it. I love these characters despite being despicable. I will say, like, there is this cold. I do think Alma does have an effect on both of our other characters here in this regard. Like, and I think the cinematography sometimes matches this, where like in the moments where things are good, she brings a warmth and color to the frame that you don't see elsewhere. And I think it's not just for Reynolds. I think it's also for Cyril. Like, I think that is one interesting kind of the relationship, the evolving relationship between Alma and Cyril throughout the course of the movie, I think is interesting, because when she first meets her, she sees her as just like the next one, right? And she's very kind of rude and dismissive to her. Like, I love like the first line she says to her is, "You're perfect. He likes a girl with a bit of a belly," right? Just rips her looks down. But I think over the course of the movie, like when Cyril says she actually likes Alma, I don't think she's lying there. I think she
Yeah.
actually does eventually like her. And then ultimately, like when Woodcock is being a cock, like it's Cyril that's pushing back, and it's Cyril that's being kind to Alma. And this is too, is I think a change from how this trio normally operates in their world.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's a great point. I sort of didn't put all that together in my head, but yeah, because I was thinking it through, and I'm like, it's not uniformly this oppressive sort of gray blue lighting. That there are shifts away from that. When they go into the countryside in particular, it's a significant change in the literally the color palette, but also just like the vibe. But I agree with you that there are dribs and drabs of deviation from that visual language, and yeah, a lot of it has to do with like how much of an influence Alma is having on him. Like I feel like when they have their wedding, or really maybe you could even say everything starting with him getting sick the first time through their wedding is sort of more warm, because he's letting down his guard a bit, and he's actually married her, which is shocking to everyone. But then it kind of creeps back in, right?
Because then the cold seeps in through the windows. Yeah, how quickly it goes back to her just driving him crazy.
Yeah.
It's really funny. Like it is. It's good. I very much enjoy it.
Yes.
One thing I wanted to circle back around to was something you said when we were kind of like thinking about what the end, what the story of this story looks like once the camera goes away, and this kind of repeated process of theirs. I think that's true. There is one thing that the story does kind of leave us with, and it's this idea that Reynolds Woodcock is kind of a dying breed. Like, so this is a movie that takes place in the 50s, but I think it is like on the cusp of the 60s. And we get this idea that one of their longest customers has now gone to a different house because they want something chic. And this is a word that Woodcock cannot stand. I love that rant about the word chic. It's really great. But like, he is a very old-fashioned, traditional dressmaker, and we do know in the world of this, like if this movie exists in our world, like the 60s is going to change that, and the styles are going to dramatically change away from the type of thing he makes. And he does not seem like the type of person that is going to like adjust with the times. Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting that we leave him in this place where we're like, I don't know how much longer he's going to get to do this thing that he does.
Yeah.
At least at the level of like lavishness that he has right now.
Yeah. Or in the, that's an interesting point. Like, is he going to be forced to change with the times, or is he just going to absolutely refuse and then they're just going to go broke? I can you kind of see it go either way in terms of how, because he has a lot of pride, but it's like, does he have so much pride that he would literally not it's just interesting to think about. I don't really have an answer. He definitely has a very classic eye, though. Like I think, I'm far from like a fashion expert, but I did think it was interesting that he makes that wedding dress. He makes the princess's wedding dress, and he's kind of stumbling around it, poisoned and dying, not literally, but not doing well. And he says of the dress, like, you all did beautiful work. Great job, ladies. Unfortunately, it's ugly. And he's blaming himself for that. He's saying like, I don't like it. And my thought on that dress, even before he opened his mouth, is I was like, that's a much more modern looking dress than anything else we've seen him make. Like, there's a lot more like the emphasis on the like cleavage, and like certain lines of it just struck me as being modern. And then you're like, what do you mean, Matt? It's like, I don't know. I don't actually know anything about fashion, but I like, even before he opened his mouth, I had this thought of like, that's kind of a strange type of that dress doesn't fit with his normal way of doing things. I don't know if this was intentional or what, but I don't. Did you pick up on anything that I'm saying, or am I totally?
I didn't, because I don't know anything about fashion. But I mean, as you say it, I see it. I don't know. I mean, I think it's interesting because I did think a lot about his hatred of the dress in that moment, and like
Mhm.
part of me chalked it up to him just feeling sick. But I honestly don't know if he really like legitimately just didn't like the thing. It's very possible. It does look very different. I mean, you're right. It does look very different from the other type of dresses. It's much less big. It's less gowny,
Yeah.
if that's a word.
Yeah. I mean, I like big. Like it doesn't have as much of the sort of layering of
Yeah.
different fabrics. It's very much just like it's got that lace, right? That the lace is a very dominant part of it, which is
Yeah.
like this, precious lace that he rescued from Hungary or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I liked the wedding dress. I could say that.
Yeah, I didn't dislike it. I just thought it definitely looked different from
I guess that's a good point because like I like the wedding dress and like a lot of the other dresses he makes, like the first dress we see in this movie, I'm like, am I supposed to like that?
Yeah.
Like I don't know anything about fashion, but I'm like, I don't think that looks good. Like I thought so. Okay, this is a thing that I think maybe the movie is doing intentionally. Like the movie specifically says he likes a little belly. I felt that first dress that woman was wearing like accentuated her pooch
Uh-huh.
in her belly a fair amount to where I was kind of surprised by it. I was like, oh, like this is a woman that's like very nervous and insecure about what she's having to do. And like this dress seems to like bring the eye to her stomach specifically. And she doesn't have a perfectly flat stomach. I was like, huh, interesting. And I heard the line later about he likes a little belly on a woman. I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's what we're saying here actually, that he's, when he designs this stuff, he accentuates the part of the women that he appreciates the most.
Yeah.
I don't know.
One of the few times that I felt like he was being fully earnest was when he kind of describes his philosophy and like what it is we're doing here. And it's like, we make people beautiful.
Yeah.
And the way that he does that is by making them beautiful dresses.
Yeah.
But I thought it felt very intentional to phrase it that way, where it's like, he actually kind of, one of the only ways that he has of like expressing himself and expressing affection for people or any sort of fellow feeling for other humans is to be like, I see you, I'm going to make you beautiful. And that, and that might, and it's going to be in a sort of personalized and perhaps idiosyncratic way, like you said, where you see elements of the dress and you're like, huh, I don't know if I necessarily love that, but it does kind of fit that person.
Yeah.
In a way that feels very it's beautiful. It is undeniably beautiful, although at the same time it's like the beauty of something that's very particular instead of something that's sort of mass market and generic, right? It's
sure. Yeah.
It's just for that person. It's a dress just for that person.
Yeah. It's custom measured and built for them. And I love that like he expresses that too through his first date with Alma ends in him bringing her back to his place, not, for a tumble, but so he can measure her for a dress, because this is the only way he knows to express any kind of emotion or feelings towards a person. Like we learn like that when he was 16 years old, he sewed his mother's wedding dress. And this is like the core memory for him. And this is like why he is a dress manufacturer, because he did this thing for his mother when he was a kid and she probably praised him endlessly for it. And so he's been chasing that feeling his entire life. And so like, this is the only way he knows how to express himself, is like, I don't think he specifically ever like tells Alma, hey, you're beautiful. No, your shoulders aren't too wide. I think one thing she says is like, he says, you have no breasts.
Yeah.
And she goes, I know. And he goes, no, it's perfect. That's like the most he says there. But he expresses himself through seeing her in a way and creating something that she looks beautiful in. And then, as we said, like putting the things he cannot say hidden in the lining of the clothing.
Yeah. And clearly she inspires him, and so he makes all these dresses for her. And maybe one way of looking at that is, he just endlessly makes dresses for her because he really does feel all these feelings of love toward her. But like that's the only avenue he has through which he can show that love.
Yep. It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
These are sad people. I feel like, I mean, this is the great reveal of the movie is not that that Alma has just decided I'm just going to poison this man whenever he gets a little too uppity, and we'll bring him back down to earth, and I'll reinstate and reaffirm my control over him. But the great reveal of the movie is that he is aware of that and submits to it willingly.
Yeah, that's the most fun scene by far, is you're watching her make the mushroom eggs, and she's looking at him with this look of, at the time I interpret it as, she wants him dead. She wants to kill him.
Yeah.
And he's looking back, and he seems kind of inattentively working on his sketches. And then as the scene progresses, maybe my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson scene, honestly, like possibly, as the scene progresses, you realize he's watching her and she's watching him watch her. And then like nothing is said to establish this, but you just realize through the acting, he knows exactly what she's doing. He's maybe realizing just now that this is what happened before.
Yeah.
Or maybe he already put that together, but in any case, he's putting it together now, finally. And he tucks in, puts the egg in his mouth, making eye contact with her, kind of waiting for her to say, no, don't stop. And then instead she explains why. And then he's like, finishes the bite, swallows it, and they go on into their marriage. And it's so good.
You're absolutely right. It's such a wonderfully constructed scene because you're like waiting there. What you think at first is that they're playing a game of chicken with each other, right? That it's like, okay, he's gonna cut up the omelet, but he's not gonna put it in his mouth.
Right.
Oh, okay, he's gonna put it in his mouth, but he's like not gonna swallow. And then and it just keeps building and building and building, and then you're like, oh my god, this is like they are consenting. They are both consenting to this thing, and then the wonderful line of "Kiss me, my darling, before I get sick." You're like, I think what she says is, "I want you flat on your back." I forget exactly what it is, but like, and then he's like, "Kiss me." You're just like, oh, holy fuck.
Yeah, it's great. So good at creating these weird, completely unique characters and character moments. Just delightful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a great movie. So this is, I just want to say, like, in last week's episode, I said I remembered enjoying this movie, but I remembered being a little bored by it. And I don't know if it was the mood I was in or whatever, or maybe it's just like you said, you need to watch this movie more than once, but I was absolutely riveted. I was like loving every second of this, and with like a huge smile on my face, even the dour, dreary, cold parts, because I found it hilarious and fascinating and wonderful. I think at some point we're going to have like a conversation on like what the funniest Paul Thomas Anderson movie is. And I think it's going to like, it's going to not be one of the ones we expect, maybe.
Possibly.
Because like, I mean, the easy answer is like Punch Drunk Love or Inherent Vice, but like, man, I think this movie is in many ways as funny as those at times.
At least in retrospect. Yeah. I might need, like I said, I definitely wasn't laughing at all for like the first parts of the movie. Although even then, some of their bickering, while sort of creating tension, is also hilarious because he's just such a prick that it's funny, you know? So yeah, I do. I think this is a very funny movie. I agree.
Yeah. And I think like, I'm gonna have to figure out which I ultimately think is the funniest, but Phantom Thread. I did not going into this movie expecting it to be this funny, I guess is what I'll say.
Sure.
I was just like, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
let's just once again. Okay, what I kind of hate, if I'm being entirely honest with you, Matt, is just how much I like Daniel Day-Lewis.
Uh-huh.
Because like I feel like it's just like the most boring thing in the world to say Daniel Day-Lewis is one of the greatest actors living, because like that's what everyone says, and so that it bugs me. But fuck, man, he's just so good.
Yeah.
He's just so good. He just inhabits these characters. It's like it stops feeling like performance. It stops feeling like acting. Like everything, like you, of course, you recognize him, but everything about him is so different. I mean, just comparing Daniel Plainview to Reynolds Woodcock, like they could not be more different people.
Yeah, it really is on another level. I always think about his Gangs of New York character, and like, but it's simply because it's like that's not the same guy. It's just he's just a different. I can't. No matter how much I like grab hold of my brain, I can't make it believe that that's Daniel Day-Lewis. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there are very few actors who can get at that level, and he just does it consistently. Even this guy, where like, you know, sometimes he does like a kind of caricatured voice or gait or you know, facial hair styling, whatever it is, to kind of bring out the different weird character. This one, he just looks like Daniel Day-Lewis, right? But he still transforms his persona.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, sort of the highest level achievement, where it's like just by his choices of how he's moving and holding his face and saying things, he is a different person. It's so good.
One thing I did just want to make sure we state before we wrap up is that I think this is like narratively the most straightforward plotted film of PTAs that we've done in a while. Like it is just like a pretty simple to understand A to B to C narrative.
Yeah.
The complicated nature of this movie is not in the narrative, which is a little bit different for PTA. It's in the underlying feelings of the characters, but I just wanted to make sure we said that.
I am so glad you said that, actually, because I was like thinking something along those lines, but I couldn't quite articulate what I wanted to say. I was thinking something in the space of like, I've had a lot more trouble than usual talking about Paul Thomas Anderson movies, and I think it's because they don't really operate on the level of narrative in the way that you and I like to talk about. I think I might have said something similar before, and you know, we do like to talk about character, but they just have such like weird characters that don't have arcs, that they don't really follow traditional storytelling rules when it comes to the characters. So that also makes it kind of hard to talk about.
Yeah.
But this movie, I think, is more straightforward in those ways. I just agree with you. And that actually made it, I think, a bit easier for us to talk about and nail down some of these things. And I like that. I mean, I like it when he does weird movies also, like The Master, but I found this much easier to kind of get my hands around.
Yeah. I agree. I think like he understands when it makes sense for a movie to have that kind of impossible to parse narrative, and then when it doesn't. Although I will say, like, I do think it's interesting that while the narrative of this movie is straightforward, I do think the world that PTA has constructed here is one that like is supposed to be our world, but in the 50s, but it almost feels like our world adjacent in a lot of ways. Like, I think it's really interesting. We don't ever like, the only reason I know this is a movie that takes place in the 1950s is A, they talk about World War II as happening relatively recently, and B, the IMDb summary said London in the 1950s, right? Like there's a New Year's Eve party in the movie, but what year is it turning to? We don't, we get no like setting, we get no like definitive location outside of London and then the surrounding area.
Totally agree. There's there is very little in the movie that lets you know that it's not 1850. Like until you see his car almost.
Which I love that he drives kind of like a bat out of hell. He's just this very like prim proper guy, and then he gets behind the wheel of a car and he's like madman.
It's great.
Really, really great movie. I really enjoyed this one. And I just, the last thing I'll say here is that if you want to understand Paul Thomas Anderson's sense of humor, know that it was Daniel Day-Lewis's idea to name this character Reynolds Woodcock. And Paul Thomas Anderson thought it was so funny that he started crying laughing. And that's why that's the character's name.
Perfect. Love it.
So that is PTA's sense of humor right there.
Yeah. Great capstone to this conversation.
Yep. All right. So we have one more film of Paul Thomas Anderson's to cover. I mean, well, technically, Matt, we are like to the day a month away from PTA's newest film coming out in the end of September, One Battle After Another. That's a Leonardo DiCaprio one. But for this series right now, we have one more film to discuss, and that is going to be 2021's Licorice Pizza. This is a movie that I've never seen, so it'll be new for both of us.
Awesome. Can't wait.
And it stars Cooper Hoffman, the son of the late great Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So yeah, should be an interesting one. We'll see.
Yeah.
That'll be next week's episode, and we'll wrap up our PTA. I guess temporarily wrap up our PTA series next week. I'm sure we'll get around to the newest film in an addendum episode at some point. All right, Matt, talk to me about the Xenomorph. Let's talk about Alien Earth. As we said, we are going to spoil through episode 4, Observation. So what are you thinking about Alien Earth right now, Matt? How are you feeling?
I'm honestly feeling better and better. I think this episode exceeded my expectations for a show that I was already enjoying.
Nice.
I felt like, so, again, we're gonna spoil the hell out of this. So
yeah,
the eye alien, the eye creature.
Oh my God.
The whole sequence with the sheep, and then the sheep staring at the characters after having become possessed by the eye was my favorite thing ever. It instantly became one of my favorite like alien associated images, and it has nothing to do with the Xenomorph at all.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It's so frightening. They get everything about it right. It looks so good. It's terrifying. Like, the idea of this creature is terrifying. It's a great creature. I like, that was probably my just like single favorite part of the show in terms of just loving it. And then like just as an episode of TV, it's doing a bunch of other really interesting things with our characters and just like cranking up the tension and the inevitable horrific crescendo when this is all going to go to hell within the next couple of episodes. But not quite yet.
Yeah, I agree with you about the eye creature. I can't believe that the star of an alien television show is not the Xenomorph. But right as of this episode, it's not. That creepy eye creature, like from the second we saw it in the opening parts, I was like, what's that? And then we see it again jumping out of the dead cat, right? And trying to jump on the one synthetic, and then to now it's perfect, and that eye is going to get into a human head before this season of television is over, for sure. And yeah, I mean, I like, it's doing, so this show to me is like doing the thing that I love the TV can do, which is like, we're really slow rolling things right now. We're spending a lot of time kind of like slowly exploring all of these characters, but at the same time, we are just escalating conflict over and over and over again, to the point where you're just like, oh my fucking God, this is going to go so bad. And I can see the 40 different ways in which this is going to go bad. And it's like, because like we have so many lines of failure in this whole thing right now. We have Wendy and her new best friend, the Xenomorph. We have Boy Cavalier just being himself and his overconfidence destruction. We have Morrow and his kind of successful manipulation of Slightly, is I think the name of the one that he's talking to.
I believe so.
And then we have Kirsch, who's just like in the background of all of it. Like, we learn that he's been listening in on those conversations the whole time. We watch him as he observes Wendy with the Xenomorph. Like, he's just like behind all of it, just like menacingly hanging out.
Yeah. And we don't know what ultimately his agenda is. Who he's loyal to. So we don't quite. Yeah, exactly. It's all going to go bad. Like, it's part of me, I'm just like, I just don't want her brother to get chest bursted.
That's where we're going, right? I mean, that's
Well,
the obvious route for Slightly to go to get the alien in someone, right?
yeah. I mean, and the show wants us to be afraid of this because the show has Slightly stare at, first of all, sort of like get angry at the fact that he's there and then stare at him menacingly for a period of time.
And then he's like very closely paying attention to the scar on his chest.
Yeah.
You're like,
yeah, he wants to put it in him, and so the show is trying to make us scared of that happening.
Yeah,
and I mentioned this because it's like the show has successfully made me care about something. Like I actually don't want him to die horribly. I would be sad and upset if that happened, which is good. Pretty much everyone else I don't really care about, but I kind of think that's fine and sort of a normal state of affairs for a horror genre film or TV show. When I say I don't care, I'm not like disengaged. I'm just like I kind of can't wait to see them all get ripped apart.
They're so non-human, like all of them. Like there could be a whole show about Morrow, I would be fascinated by this guy. From last week's episode where he's like, I know nobody, I know nothing. This is my whole life now, and so I'm going to do this. And just the way he's manipulating Slightly, and the way he's accomplishing his mission, like that could be a whole show. And like, but so yeah, all these characters make you so uncomfortable, and then at the middle of it, you have Joe, like the only human who is just kind of like, oh my god, this sweet innocent little baby.
Yeah,
get the fuck out of there! You're gonna die.
Yeah. I was talking with my brother about this show and how like it's I mentioned that just because like alien stuff is our favorite thing too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so much stuff this show does where if you just like wrote it down and showed it to me, a few weeks ago, I would be like, that's corny. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work out. That's going to come off as really just try hard and corny, and it never does. I don't know if you feel the same way as me about like the perception versus reality thing that's happening here, but like everything the show tries to do, it works on me perfectly. and I think so. And my explanation for this is it's a deceptively really, really good script. It's not the kind of script writing that draws attention to itself as being great writing, where it's like the characters don't necessarily have transcendent monologues or repartee, but it's very efficient. It's very effective. You watch any given scene and like every character is, in everything they say, you're getting characterization, you're getting plot advancement, you're getting information transfer, and you're getting how they feel about this and what this implies for what's going to happen next. And this is it's a constant thing that they and that's just good. It's just like really solid writing. And I was again just reflecting on why is this working on me so well when some of these ideas have been like even literally in the Alien franchise, we've seen some very similar ideas get fumbled. And I'm like, I think it's literally just that it's really well written. It's as simple as that.
I think so. I mean, the character writing in particular for me, like just the creation of these people, even the ones that I don't feel human and feel like, I mean, like just the whole scene with Nibs where she walks up and says, "I'm pregnant." Like, I'm just I'm glued to my screen because I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Yeah, and that's saying you're pregnant is such a fucking charged thing to say in an alien film.
Yeah,
like Alien anything.
Yeah,
and so like you're just so in it with the characters. I also just think like one of the reasons why maybe like you saying it wouldn't work for you on the page, it's working on the screen. I just think this movie has a very distinct visual style, and I continue to appreciate it. I think it's a show that looks very, very good, but also looks very different. I continue to love like the fades and the transitions and just like the mixes of scenes. I continue to love that idea. I continue to appreciate just how fun it is to look at this show.
Sure. Yeah.
And so like that is going a long way for me as well.
Yeah, I'm always kind of bothered by that guy in the hallway who was endlessly cleaning something on the wall, and you're like, what was that? What happened there? I love her coming to the I guess the psychiatrist. It's unclear exactly what her role and title is, but telling her she's pregnant, and then that escalating into almost an act of horrific violence where you're reminded very suddenly, like, oh, these innocent children that they have put into these incredibly strong cyber bodies are just as scary as a xenomorph. In fact, one of them literally killed the xenomorph in hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
So like one of them decided, like, just snapping, and this is this like consciousness uploading thing is super untested and speculative. So I think that's one of the many things that's going to go wrong in the next couple of episodes is she's going to lose it and start ripping people's spines out, and it's going to be great. Yeah,
I guess you could say Boy Cavalier is being pretty cavalier about all this stuff.
I think you're right.
It is, like just like putting a child in the body of a super powered adult and just being like, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing bad's going to happen at all.
I really love how, purely sci-fi we're getting with some of these things where so for example, the exchange between Joe and the creepy sort the guy who sort of seems like he's Boy Wonder's butler, but he's clearly like some kind of executive. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where he, he's like, well, Joe is like, well, she has all of my sister's memories and her personality and her sense of humor. So it's her, right? And his answer is like, well, those are two completely different statements. Like the idea that she has all of her memories is true. The idea that she is now her because of that is a question. And we're trying to determine that. Like, are people going to accept this? He literally says, like, this is a product. And what needs to happen is people need to accept that this is the actual person for this to be a viable product. Otherwise, what we've done is created a monster.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love the like maturity of this idea and the way it was compressed into such an efficient exchange of dialogue. Like I was just, that lit me up. Yeah, I loved it.
Well, and the great comparison to that is Boy Cavalier, who's supposed to be like the smartest person ever, but is continually like as childish as the children that inhabit these bodies. It's like they're these emotionally immature children that have been given super strength, and he's this emotionally immature child that has been given super brains. And like just the continued need to relate everything to Peter Pan, I find endlessly fascinating. Like it's like, oh, it was the crocodile. Like I'm just like, dude, come on. Yeah. Nobody likes Peter Pan this much.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like one element that I enjoy actually is like they could have cast, a 15-year-old or a 9-year-old for that matter, but they cast like a 29-year-old man.
Yeah.
For this role. And it's like, he was a prodigy.
Yeah.
Now he's just a man who is weirdly obsessed with the idea of being perceived as young and prodigious and brilliant, and it, like, acts like a prick to everyone all the time in a way where it's like, okay, like a smart 15-year-old could have gotten away with that. You're just a dude now. Like but and it makes it creepier that he's actually just like literally grown up,
Yeah. Can I compare this to a film critic real quick in a fun way?
Yeah.
There's this film critic called Lights Camera Jackson, which is as almost a hilarious name as Boy Cavalier. And like his thing was like when he was like 8 years old, like he could speak very intelligently about movies, and everyone was like, "Oh, look at the little kid critiquing movies," and he was like on TV, and like it was this big thing. Well, he's like an adult now, like a full, and he's still doing this, and it sucks, man. It's just like like he's like, apologies if you're listening, Lights Camera Jackson. I don't think you're a very good film critic. And it's like because the it's adorable thing wears off, and now you're just an adult talking about Inside Out 2. And it's like, okay,
Yeah, and
you
now
don't
you're
really
gonna
have
be-
anything to say
right.
about this, do you?
You're going to be judged on your merits instead of like as
Yeah.
a product. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also like that it kind of takes this idea that we, I guess, borrowed from, or not borrowed, but like this through line that started with, I hate to say this, it started with Prometheus, this idea of like obsession with immortality,
Mhm.
and it is using that theme while using it in a very different and new way, where like, yeah, the idea of uploading these children into these bodies is obviously viewed as a kind of immortality, but it's not in the Peter Wayland fashion in Prometheus, where it's like he just wants to live forever. It's actually this guy, he wants to specifically be a child forever.
Yeah.
Which feels different and creepier in a way that I enjoy.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I think that's a great point, that it's like, you know, we talked last week about like how much this feels like various entries of the Alien franchise, and it does. But I think it is fun that it's doing similar things, but is like adjacent to those things in a way that still does feel fresh and new and exciting.
Yeah,
I think you're spot on there. Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
I just wanted to say I really love Morrow the cyborg.
Yeah.
He's so menacing.
He's great.
I want to. I don't remember the exact line, but some line he said in a previous episode where he described himself as like a man with only the bad parts left and everything else removed. Something like that, better written than what I just said. And I was like, God, what a fantastic character description.
I can't wait for him to get into the fucking facility and wreck shit. It's going to be so great.
Yeah.
Like everything is going to go bad. And you're absolutely right. Like the only thing I care about in all of this is that please let my baseball loving Joe get out of this thing alive.
Yeah.
The rest of them can, and I think will, all die horribly.
Yeah. like what I want to see is I want him and his sister to somehow escape this mess and just kind of like, disappear into the crowd. And I don't care what happens. No, it's not true that I don't care. I want to see everyone else get horribly killed.
Yeah. I do want to, like, the last thing I want to say is kind of circle back around to something we already moved away from, but like the idea that you talked about, like a lot of these concepts and ideas you would have maybe rolled your eyes out at if you saw them read. The biggest thing that when I realized how in on the show I was, it was at the very end of this episode where we see her like talk to a baby xenomorph.
Yeah.
And like, I think you're absolutely right. If you would like tap me on the shoulder 2 weeks ago and said, Scott, what if I wrote an alien movie in which someone was like learned the xenomorph language and was talking to them, I would have been like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
That's really stupid.
Yeah. I hate this.
Yet here I like, not only did I not mind it, but I was like, oh, I think I'm really fascinated by this, because I think part of it is because we're layering on here, like, what is Wendy, right? Like, what is she right now? And making a compare and contrast to this killing machine alien, I think is endlessly fascinating. So
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. What a good show. 4 more episodes, I think. Is it 4?
I thought it was less, but I'd be happy to be wrong.
I think it's 8 total.
Okay.
Let me see. Oh. Yeah, there's 8.
Okay, great. Wow. Okay. That kind of makes my day. I thought there were 6 for some reason.
Nope. We're halfway there.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. I think that is going to do it for us this week. We will be back next week with the conclusion to Paul Thomas Anderson with Licorice Pizza, and probably going to talk about episode 5 of Alien Earth. I think we're just going to keep running this thing back until we're done with this show. I'm enjoying these conversations.
Sounds great.
Yeah, so if you have any opinions on Phantom Thread, on Paul Thomas Anderson in general, or on Alien Earth, please let us know. You can reach out to us via email at doofmedia@gmail.com, at X @doofmedia, Instagram @doofmedia, on Reddit, reddit.com/r/doofmedia. I think those are the places.
Yeah.
Just find us there.
If you're not already subscribed to the Doofcast, please subscribe and ensure you never miss an episode. You can find us on iTunes, YouTube, and pretty much anywhere else podcasts can be found.
And you can find all of our shows over at our website, doofmedia.com. It's our shiny. It's not really new anymore. It's been several months, but it still feels shiny and new to me. So I'm going to keep describing it like that. Also, if you want to support us, please consider becoming a patron of Doof Media. Head on over to patreon.com/doofmedia and pledge at any of the available levels. You get a whole bunch of bonus content, including Freeman Bros, where Matt talks to his brother, Daniel. I would suspect, and I haven't talked to you about this at all yet, Matt, but I would suspect that at some point the two of y'all are going to talk about this here alien television show on Freeman Bros. And you folks are not going to want to miss that. So
that's
make sure you subscribe to us on Patreon.
Pretty safe assumption, I think. Yeah. Also, please consider giving us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Each review helps us get more exposure and introduces new people to the content that we make here.
That is right. All right, folks. Next week, the end of Paul Thomas Anderson for at least 3 weeks. Licorice Pizza. Let's wrap up this series with hopefully a good one. I hope so. We'll see.
Me too. Yep.
Next week. Bye.
Bye.
My name is Doof, and you'll do what I say. My name is Doof, and you'll do what I say.